Hey everybody, this is Justin with Sonar Technologies, and today I'm going to talk to you. If you're a business and you were, out looking for someone that could build you an app, or you have an idea for some software, and you heard the lingo cross-platform and why I feel like it's overrated in 2026, right? 2026 specifically. Um, if you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe to my channel. If you're watching this on Facebook, please follow my page. So what is cross-platform development specifically? Great tool when it first was released. Essentially, what it does is it's a platform that's built by software engineers that then allow you to build a platform, one common language. It then converts that language into native code onto the different platforms. So it saves time because you don't need two people working on one project, or you can have multiple people working on one project, and they can use the same code base. They all know that code base, and it produces what you'd like, right? It was great for fast prototyping back in the day, and I believe it was a great tool and for its reasons, right? But in 2026, things have changed, right? I'm going to start off with why I feel like it's overrated from my experience and explain to you why. So essentially, before, if you wanted to build an app, you had to know the coding language, which would be like Swift or Objective C on iOS. And then you'd have to know that language. You have to build it specifically for that platform. If you wanted to build on Android, what was it again? We got Kotlin, and then we have Java. You would need to know Java, and you would either Java or Kotlin. Kotlin's the newer language. Java was the older language. And then you'd have to know Objective C was the older language, which is a horrible language. I worked in that one, man. It hurts your eyes. And then Swift's pretty good, newer language. Uh, so you had to know both of these things, and usually, if it's server side, you'd have to know some C sharp. You'd have to know, and their frameworks and things of that nature in order to build on there. So usually, there's teams of people that would do this. Essentially, cross-platform consolidates that to one language. You don't need to know that, and then it builds it for both of them. My experience, though, is that the amount of problems you have to fix and wait on, it doesn't save as much time as people think. In the beginning, it does. You get a quick prototype. You like when I was working within it, a lot of times there's something that was broken, right? So on native code, usually it's fixed fast. Apple will have it fixed, within a week. If there's something wrong on Android, they'll have it fixed within a week, and then you can just update your code base. Whereas the problem with cross-platform was that once you had it and you built it, well, you had to contact that cross-platform team to then ask them to fix something that you know is broken, right? And you have to wait in whatever amount of time. I've seen it go for weeks, right? Or if it's something that's broken on iOS, right, you can just correct your code, and it's done. Whereas once they fix it, then the cross-platform team then needs to fix it, and sometimes it's a year, right? And generally, what you do in that kind of situation is you got a hack, and you got to put a hack in there to get it to work. There's something called to-dos in these IDEs we work in, and you would make a to-do list, and then whatever you mark it as to do, you get a list of different things you have to get done within the IDE, right? And then you're just filling it with to-dos, because you're waiting for someone else to fix it. You don't have that problem, or at least it's much rarer inside the native code, right? Generally, when you make projects, because there's an extra code base, the goal of good code is to have less code. Less is more when it comes to coding. Why is this? Because projects get big and there's a lot of stuff going on, and there's a lot of things that are talking to other things within the code base. And the more it gets convoluted, the more you don't remember those things are there. So you might change something in this piece of code, but you don't realize 8 different things are talking to it from a different piece of code, right? And if you change it there in this one little spot that you fixed it that called this one thing, then you're going to break it in these 6 other things, right? So less mistakes like that happen because the code base is smaller. You want to try to keep it as small as possible. Oftentimes, the file size is almost 70% smaller from native code than it is from cross-platform code. Usually your user interface or features take almost a year or two longer to actually be implemented in cross-platform code. You usually have to wait for the people that design the cross-platform system to first see the features, and then they have to update those features. Like example, I did a project for a company I was working for, a couple projects a company worked for in .NET Maui. And the problem with that is that, I mean, it looked old because it's using the old couple of years ago things. If there's ever an update that goes through, you have to wait for the team once again to update it. And there's instances where you can physically make it do what you want to do. And this is something called, there's classes inside of there's something called classes inside this code. And then you want to find this class that the cross-platform person created. And then essentially what I would do is just make an extension of the class, and this extension of the class will allow me to modify it myself, right? And then I end up having to write native code just to get something to work, right? So it might get something up and running and you can see it fast. But in the end, you're correcting a lot of mistakes and you're going back and you have to go fix things a lot. So it does take more time later because you're sitting around correcting things all the time. This is my observation. This is my hand-on experience with cross-platform development, right? Wasn't a big fan. I might be a bit biased because I did know the native languages. I did know, I already knew, iOS or Kotlin and Objective C. I already knew Java. I already knew Kotlin. I could program in both of those to begin with, right? So I might be a bit biased. And then these guys, they learn on these cross-platform systems, and they don't see the benefits of the other systems because they never touch the other systems. Um, but generally, that's what I've seen. That's the downfall of that one. Why is native code better? Once again, you're using the language that's built by that platform. Things are going to get fixed faster. Things just work. Less code is better. You're just using their code. I have to make some extension to get something to work. I'm not putting in hacks into the code. Yes, there's always problems. Yes, you're going to have to come back and do some stuff, but I find it's way less common if you're writing in the native language. Um, what else did I want to cover here? Oh, why is it different in 2026, right? Because these platforms were made for a reason. It did speed up development and it made things faster. With the dawn of AI, it's way faster for me to write code. I have a lot of experience in iOS. I realized that it was a language that not many people knew, either Objective C or Swift. Usually got paid more money because I did know how to do these things, and I got roles faster because I knew them, right? And from my experience, I'm faster in that language. I do know both platforms. So generally, I would code anything first in iOS. Then once I have it coded in iOS, I will then convert it with AI into Android's Kotlin. They're very similar once you learn both of them. I mean, they're different, but they're very similar. Like they have these objects you can create that make these certain type of interface objects, and then there's like usually they use a dot system in iOS to where you add these dots and then you add what you want to do. In Android, they have a parameter based system where it's kind of the same thing, but you're just kind of putting on the top of these objects. And then you just got to convert it, right? And the AI is pretty good at seeing what I did in iOS, and it does. There's quirks you have to work out. Usually, you have to, the API services run different. The way it processes JSON is a little bit different. You just work out those quirks. I find the time difference is like about 4 to 10. If I did 10 hours of work inside iOS, it's generally about 4 more hours I'm going to need for the Android side of things. Just working it out, changing those differences, and then it's up and running, and it's going to be almost exactly the same. So for the extra, 40% time taking and the less headaches over time, native code wins at this point, and that's the biggest reason why I believe cross-platform is overrated. If you are looking for an app and you want someone to develop it for you, just know I'm going to be doing it in native code on that platform, and it's going to be faster than you would think, and it's going to save you time over the rest of them using cross-platform still to this day. I do believe over time they're going to realize this, and they're going to slowly realize the benefits of cross-platform are gone. The same reason, I mean, they're probably going to be stragglers. They're going to fight for that cross-platform because that's what they know, and that's all they want to know, and that's what they're going to learn. If you're interested in cross-platform development, go cross-platform. If you're interested in app development, please like and subscribe to my channel. Otherwise, hit me up on sonartechnologies.com. and hit me up on the contact form. Otherwise, I am out. Peace.